faith, love, openness, willingness.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Faith, love, openness, willingness. You're in the flow with Rev Skip. Hey, what's up, family? And welcome to another episode of In the Flow with Rev Skip. And I am Rev Skip. And when you're in the flow, you got to have faith that a transformation can happen. We love ourselves through the process of each and every step. We become open and willing to have a new experience so the transformation can happen. Welcome to In the Flow. I am so excited, and I'm backstage waiting for to come on into the Facebook live feed, and it's also going out as a podcast, and I'm just dancing. I'm dancing because I love this opening. Thank you, Diego. Come in so I can give you props. Come on in, Diego. Talk to me, brother.
Godling. It's always
Good
my
morning.
pleasure to be in service of this message.
Absolutely, brother.
I love being in the flow.
That was a great, I don't know how you chose that song, but it makes me dance. It gets me happy. It gets me moving. So thank you for creating that opening.
It's kind of funny that you should ask that. You know, one of the biggest time consumers, being back here in the production, is going through stock audio, stock images, just going through reviewing all the stock stuff, going, what can I use? What will work best for this position, this situation? And I'm going through the stock audio looking for what to use as your theme song. I come across one called Flow. The title of the song is called Flow. And I guess that's the one.
Oh, that is so hilarious. That is definitely the one. How you be this week, brother? How you been?
Real things are going well. The weather is just getting brighter and brighter every day. I'm going to take Winston Churchill out for a little walk after our show today. He's got to enjoy some of the sun. We need some exercise on him because he's got to lose some weight.
So I'm laughing because myself and our guest knows who Winston Churchill is. So those who are watching this right now live, we're going to take a look at Winston Churchill.
Oh, you want to see a picture?
Let's see. Yes, I do.
Him and his last birthday. I put him on some angel wings.
If you can't see this and you're listening to this afterwards, go to Facebook Live and make sure you see, or go to Facebook and to my page and look at this. These are pictures of his pet pig.
There he is. He's a little spoiled. That's him in bed, all wrapped up in. That's literally a pig in blankets.
I love it. I've heard, you're the second person I know that has a pet pig. My friend, Reverend Carlton Tebow, his daughter has Carlton, Reverend Carlton.
I know Carlton.
He has a pet pig, his daughter has a pet pig, and she was the first person I ever knew had a pet pig. Now you're the second. Yeah. And I hear that they are the dopest pets to have.
Oh man, that's such low maintenance. It's like having an old aged dog that doesn't go around he sleeps a lot, he eats a lot, he doesn't really do much. He doesn't get in any trouble. He's a good boy.
That's crazy. I love it. So
Mom wanted to name him Winston when we brought him home at 6 weeks old, and after a couple weeks of being here, his jowls really started filling out.
Really?
Said he might have some Churchill in him, so he's been Winston Churchill ever since.
So I got to get personal here. Are you a vegetarian?
Yes. We definitely don't eat pork anymore.
Yes.
Winston is actually one of the easiest ways that made it the easiest to cut pork out. And out of meats, pork is probably one of my favorites. I love bacon.
I love bacon too. Chop. I don't eat it, but I love me some bacon.
When one sleeps next to you at night, you just can't eat his brothers and sisters.
Brother, I love you. That is so freaking awesome. Thank you so much for sharing Winston with me. And you can never look at bacon again in any other way but with love and affection. Winston Churchill is the bomb. Yeah. And so are you. Hey, so a couple of things I want to talk to you about, brother. You are wearing an In the Flow t-shirt, and I am as well. And yes, there you go. In fact, I had on my yoga t-shirt. I love it.
Oh, look. It's got a good back, too.
It has a great back. Thank you so much for being the model. It says Shop Rev Skip on the very back.
Skip is open.
Shop Rev Skip is open. And what I love about the In the Flow t-shirt, 10% of this goes to supporting the New Thought Media Network with our mission to allow people to know about the light that's within them. So these shirts are now available at Shop Rev Skip, along with a lot of other different things that we are doing. And we have a promo that you've done for us. So I'm going to run that promo if I can find it. There it is.
Welcome to the Black Collection. All designs and prints are acronyms and principles Rev Skip teaches clients and students for personal transformation and spiritual growth. 10% of the profits from the Black Collection go to Justice LA Now. Justice LA Now is working to reduce the footprint of incarceration in Los Angeles County and reinvest county dollars into alternatives to incarceration. Justice LA Now. Find your designs at shoprevskip.com.
And y'all know who
that's a fancy looking inspirational wear right there.
And I was going to give you props for that voiceover voice, that deep radio voiceover voice. That was so dope, brother. Thank you for putting that together as a promo. And I just want to say that all the collections have different charities and foundations that we're supporting. The Pride collection that will be out over the weekend. We're getting ready for the Pride Month. So we have about 15 products that's dedicated to the Pride celebration of the month, but even beyond that, of diversity and inclusivity to support our LGBTQA plus community, which I am an openly member of, which I'm so proud to be a part of. And 10% of that proceeds will be going to the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is all about prevention of teen suicide of our LGBTQA plus teens and youth. I really believe in that because at one point in my life when I was a young kid and I was told that I was something wrong with me, I wanted to commit suicide. I thought that it was better that I would die early than to die later and go to hell. And that was just where I decided I didn't want to live any longer. And, I had
thank goodness somebody changed your mind.
Exactly. And that's why I believe in the Trevor Project. I believe it's all about making a difference. But every part of that Shop Rev Skip, 10% is going to some organization who's making a difference on the planet. So I'm grateful for that.
That is
beautiful. Thank you for helping me to promote that. And I know we have a couple other promos that we're going to be doing about Shop Rev Skip coming up. And other good news, my brother, we are available where you listen to podcasts. So the replay of Everywhere the replay and the audio of this goes out to, let's say, Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Pandora now. We are actually on Google Podcasts. We're waiting for Apple to come back. I'm going to run this promo here. And as I was running the promo, I realized I need to send that over to you, and so you can put a little voiceover, put that radio voiceover on it.
A little extra into it.
A little extra work there for you,
don't we
brother.
have a professional guest today that may be able to do a voiceover?
And he is a voiceover artist. He is more than that. I am so grateful for that. I might even ask Chad to do that for us. But yeah, thank you so much, because I know I could not do this without you, my brother.
To you, brother.
And I am so grateful of all the wonderful things that we get to do. We get to play. We get to play here.
Having a great time doing it.
Yes. All right, everyone. And now it's time for Wellness Wake Up with Rev Skip. So our Wellness Wake Up for today, I'm going to put up our meme so you can see what I'm talking about. And then if you can't see it because you're listening to the podcast, you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about. So pop it up. It's all about less and more. So here's the things that's up on the meme, and I love this. It says less sugar, more fruits. Less soda, more water. Less driving, more walking. Less worry, more sleep. Less words, more action. So I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to do less of and be more of? What are you willing to let go of in your own wellness, in your own health? What are you willing to let go of that no longer serves? And what are you willing to embrace? And it's okay to say, I'm willing to let go of coffee and embrace green tea. Because once you let go of something, you've created room to embrace something. So my story this week is I gave up coffee. Last week I was doing really, really good until this morning. I decided to have a cup of coffee, and I had a half a cup, and it just wasn't sitting well with me. And I realized it is that caffeine that I was cleansing out, and I decided to let go of so I can embrace something else. And in that moment of recognizing this coffee is not really good for me and something's happening here, I was doing another live event. In the middle of that, I realized I can let go and I can always start again. See, if we're on this journey is always about start, restart, until you no longer need to restart and you're just in the flow. You're in the flow of your own transformation. So today, I'm inviting you to do less of something and become more of something else. Yes, love that. All right, guys. And now it's time for our quotable ponder with Rev Skip. And this is our quotable ponder today because we have one of my friends on, and he's an actor and director. I thought it'd be one of my favorite actors to do a quote from one of my favorite actors. Our quotable ponder comes from Chadwick Boseman, and there's a little typo here. I'm going to get real on this and say it's a little typo. So I'm going to read what it probably should say. And it says, sometimes you need to get knocked down to understand what you're fighting for. And isn't that the truth? Sometimes we have to get knocked down and we will call it a failure, but I don't believe in failures. You've been following this podcast for a while. You know, I do not believe in failures, but once you're knocked down, you can understand how important this fight is for and what's it's for. So if we are in the midst of spiritual activism, or we're in the midst of just creating your own business and you hear a no, or you feel like you've been knocked down, reevaluate, look at it, breathe through it, and ask the simple question, what am I here to learn? And then it becomes more evident to you why we are doing what we're doing. So the knockdown is not a knockout. The knockdown is not a defeat. It is a time for us to do something different. Yes, reevaluate, understand. And we learn so much more. I believe we learn more from what we deem to be failures than our successes. So that's our quotable ponder for today. And Chadwick, man, I am still not over the physical loss of Chadwick. He lives in my heart, has been one of my favorite actors for a long time. And, if I can say Wakanda forever, Chadwick Boseman forever. Absolutely. And I'm so grateful. And I just got to download that Chad, who's our guest today. If you take Chadwick, just say Chad and Chad. So we talked about the Chads and the Chads today, the Chad and the Chad today. Let me tell you about my friend, because I really can call him my friend. We met at the beginning of the pandemic, and we got a chance to spend a lot of time together, just having high conscious conversations. Quickly, he's become someone I love, I care for, and I've been following and understanding what his mission is on this planet. But let's talk about Chad Bradford. Hello, Chad, and I'm going to bring him in a moment, but I want to say this. Chad works as an actor, a theater director, a musician, a teacher. He didn't put dancer on there. I've seen him tap dance, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. He has been blessed to work off Broadway and on national tours and around the country in theaters like the American Shakespeare Theater. A passion project for Chad is using arts for healing and a vehicle for social change. Hallelujah. We need more people like you, Chad. His program and his passion is Voices Uncaged. We're going to really talk about that and how it's making a difference in incarcerated people. He is an ever evolving student of spirit. Absolutely. Our conversations go really, really deep. And his journey of using arts to heal and to bring on spiritual awareness, it's a part of his life. It's so evident. It's so amazing. He has a new movie coming out, a Lifetime movie. I can't wait to talk about it because when I listen to the title, Lifetimes, have you noticed how Lifetime titles are just like, you listen to the title, like my best friend wrote one called Stalked by My Ex. Mm-hmm. It just says, I laugh. So, and this one's called The Cult. Really? I've been looking forward to this conversation for a very long time. Chad, come on into this space here. Hey, brother.
It's so great to be with you, Skip. Oh my gosh. And that intro was very generous and very nice. But it's true. I really feel like since we've been able to speak with one another, I feel like there's parts of our lives we're on a very similar path, on a very similar journey together. And you've been such a special guide and wonderful teacher for me. And so I'm just honored to be here to speak with you.
I'm honored to have you. And I was just laughing every time I listen to or see a new title from Lifetime. When it comes out, I'm going, that's a great title. Where'd they get that title from? Let's have a little fun with this. The Cult, really? Yes. The Cult. So, and you are a spiritual guy. Was it fun doing a film called The Cult? And you got to be the cult leader? Is that your wife? Is that your wife? Oh, no, yes, that's not Sharon.
Yes.
Hi, Sharon. We love you, Sharon. Thank you for being on the feed.
Supportive.
I love that. So tell me, was it fun doing a film called The Cult and with your spiritual awakening?
It was really great because I think as we go along on our journey as artists and as people that are, students of spirit, we are finding ourselves in situations where we are forced to grow, where we're forced to expand and really uncover those kind of latent gifts that we have. On this process, thank God I had Skip Jennings as holding my hand. But I'd say, it's two things, right? As actors, we always live in dual consciousness. We are in the scene, we are the character, but we're also the actor who, has to pay rent and take the garbage out. So,
yes.
As on one part, the artistic part, being in character, I would say, getting to do a role where you're playing somebody like that. Art is the practice of empathy, and so you're getting into these characters by by seeing what they see, by finding where they think they are the hero. And that's kind of the only way to play someone truthfully, I've found. And so it was really interesting. And I think, Skip, you'll be able to speak to this a little bit. But, I grew up Church of Christ, very, restrictive, very, I wouldn't say necessarily fundamentalist, but there was certain do's and don'ts, and those do's and don'ts were, kind of set in stone. And so that gave me kind of a special insight that this person, being a cult leader, he thought that he was actually saving his flock, and that's, and then we delude ourselves, because if we believe something long enough, we can start to make ourselves blind to what reality is. The means justify so many terrible things to this character. And so it was wonderful to get in there with kind of a broadened spiritual perspective. So I'm not necessarily getting in and judging the character immediately. I'm saying, how am I living through this? And doing shadow work, you're saying, how is this character like me? Where am I showing up in this character? So again, the practice of art, I'm getting to work on myself and uncover things about myself that maybe I like and maybe I don't like sometimes. So it's really part of my evolution.
I was just gonna say, I love how you just went straight to principle. I love you about that, brother. We start our conversations. It's like, okay, let's go straight to God. Let's go straight to principle. Let's go straight to the spiritual work. I love it. I love that. The question that comes to mind right now, though, because we met probably in I would say it wasn't the beginning, but it was like right after the shutdown, the whole world shut down in March. Yes. I think we started to really kind of start to, you followed me on Insight Timer. We actually started talking like in end of April, maybe May. So I would say it was kind of the beginning of the shutdown. What was the first thing that came to your mind during that time? And how's the pandemic? And what did the pandemic come to show you?
I don't want to take away from the kind of pain and suffering that lots of people have felt during this time, but I do feel like it is, in my life, for me, the pandemic has been a teacher, one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. It's taught me, how to spiritually grow up in a lot of ways. I think Marianne Williamson, she's talked about, sometimes we live in spiritual adolescence. And that now is a time when it really hits the fan that, we got to walk the talk, basically. And so all of my, my life, going through acting and going to auditions and getting rejected and all this kind of stuff, and saying, but I'm working towards this, or I'm going to just let things go. Well, when you lose a year's worth of work in 2 weeks, you have to learn to actually let things go and say, I have got to surrender and let spirit show me what's next. And so that's what this has been. It's been an unfoldment of, learning how to surrender even more greatly. And it's been probably the biggest catalyst for allowing me to get just a peek of what's next. I don't, of course, I don't know exactly what's next, but I wake up and I can feel that there is an alchemical bubbling. And that there's that I'm anticipating the next chapter, and it's allowed me to I loved what you said. What are we going to do less of? What are we going to do more of? And you always hit me off with those great questions, like you said, right off the top.
Right off the top. Let's go.
And so
let's get to work.
I think the last time we spoke, we even talked about what are things that we can let go of, and that's been the biggest gift, is not only just on a career basis, on a life basis, but just every day. How can I let go of worrying about X, Y, and Z? How can I just be here? Me and my wife, we're moving right now, and it's really
not just moving. You're moving out of 2 different locations into one, and I had to put that out there because I think that's phenomenal that you're in the midst of moving from 2 different, almost opposite places in the world to really begin to be right where you are. And one of the things that's coming to mind as we're talking, I had a conversation with my friend today, my best friend Bill, about how we are reemerging back into theater. And I am hoping that, and I'm seeing the prices of tickets that are in LA, they have not changed. it's still, you got to have a bank loan to go see Hamilton. And I'm going, and that's what we just got notice for. Hamilton's coming back.
Right.
And to get really good seats, they do have some affordable seats, but it's going to be very limited. I'm hoping that we have learned our lesson about how expensive and exclusive theater had became.
Yes.
I'm hoping that we are learning to be more inclusive. What is your thoughts on this reemerging and back into theater, and what have you seen?
Well, just to be completely honest here, I think the one thing that that we've all learned more about inequity. We've learned about the pandemic, of the virus, and we've learned about the pandemic of racism, the pandemic of inequity. So in looking at theater, it's interesting when you talk about racism with a lot of white people. They think, oh, that's interpersonal. That just happens person to person. And it's hard for some people to get the big picture that this is systemic. And what you're talking about this systemic inequity that we say, oh, it's opening up, everybody has a chance. Well, not if you have to take out a bank loan, like you said, to go see a show.
Yeah.
And so it's up to us as theater practitioners. It's up to us as people who have spiritual lives to stand up and do what you just did and say, you know what? Yes, we're changing. Yes, this is great. But here's some things that we still need to look at.
Let's look at how we can really make a difference. This morning on Inside Timer, where I do a 7:00 live event every morning, I was talking about, as we are learning, because our housing is out of control in California. It's just, and as I'm looking to purchase a home, and I'm really now debating if I really want to do that, and to be in a place of paying over $500,000 for something I really can't move right into, and it has to have work. And I'm going, and then I see the unhoused that is around LA right now, which is the number one unhoused issue that we have, is in California. And I'm looking, I'm going, there's an imbalance here. Is there a place, and same thing with theater, and it was like tickets for Hamilton were $400 and something dollars. I'm going, if you're on EDD, that is a week of your finances coming in. So this imbalance is just really giving me this idea of questioning. And I love that you brought in equity. And one of the things I want to ask you about is, who are you, my friend? And when you're seeing all this and you're having the breakdown of who you are as an actor before we went into this sacred reset to who you are now, who are you?
Wow. Yeah, always leave it to Skip. You're going to hit me off with a koan at the very top.
There you go. Who you are, brother. Who are you?
I love it, because as time goes on, we study more and more. It's all about the disintegration of the self. And then we think about it, but it's still there. So, the self is still there as much as we want to think ourselves out of it. So to, speak in very, material terms, as you've already said, working in the arts has kind of been, in theater and music specifically, has just been my life. And as far as this who are you question, I think about, and I think I said to you one day, I'm looking over at my bookshelf and it's like the top 3 shelves are all, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Gary Zukov. And then the bottom 3 shelves, Stella Adler, Stanislavski, Meisner, and it's.
I hope you have a couple of Skip Jennings in there too.
Oh, Skip Jennings, that's actually on the table.
I'm messing with you, brother.
That's on my nightstand. That's my companion.
Yes.
But I think who am I? It's an evolution. Everything, every moment we're growing and dying, and one of the things that I try to hold on to, that I don't do very well. I think my wife is watching, so she might start commenting, nope, he doesn't do that. But is trying to grow in a way where I can develop a beginner's mind. So coming into a situation and saying, I don't know. So, when you say, who are you? It's, I don't know. It's evolving. Yes. I see these 2 huge things in my life. And I'm really, part of our conversations is how do I deal with the crossroads here? Because I've really enjoyed, I've really loved, I've really benefited from a life being an actor. It's like, 12 months a year on the road, doing this, doing that. But there came a point for me, and it doesn't happen for everybody, because I think a lot of people, they really do. They feel like acting is their ministry in a lot of ways. But for me, I felt like there was something else I wanted to do. And so bringing together this world of social action, spirituality, and art felt like the next step for me.
Absolutely. In this idea, and we're going to get to some of the roles that you've done, because I think it's, very, very amazing. You did an iconic part of The Fantastics, which is a very iconic theater piece in the space, which is full of spiritual lessons. The Fantastics is full of spirit. I mean, it's a spiritual from beginning to end. Was that a part of your spiritual awakening theater? Was it wakening up to who and what you are?
100%. I was a very shy kid. Before, I'll tell you a secret. Before I was going to be an actor, I wanted to be.
It's no longer a secret.
Yeah, right. Me and my millions of friends. Before I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a professional wrestler.
I know, really, which is acting. Some people might call that acting. Right? Maybe I shouldn't say that in case I ever run into The Rock.
Yeah,
no,
right?
It's real.
But getting into the theater, I was so quiet. I was terrified. I remember I went into my first acting class, which my wife was actually in my first acting class, Sharon Combs, who's a wonderful actress, a fantastic artist. She just graduated with her MFA in acting from Michigan State. But I walked in the classroom and I see there's a guy with a mohawk, and there's another guy with tattoos. And I was just, I was coming from Church of Christ South, in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was just shaking in my boots. I was like, there's no way I'm as cool as these people. These people are so, expressive. But getting in there, being forced to do improvisation, being forced to learn lines, being forced to just speak in front of people, it was a huge turning point for me. Theater in that way, telling stories, being able to investigate my own humanity through the inhumanity of the characters I get to inhabit has been one of the greatest gifts in my life and one of the most transformational things that I've ever done. You talked about Fantastics, and that show was another turning point for me. I feel like as actors, we kind of think about life as we delineate life as in shows. 2014 was the year of the Fantastics for me, But if you look at that show and if you look at the character that I played, who's the narrator of the piece, basically, it's such a parallel to the story of Ravana, when you think about in Hinduism, that you have this kind of dark force that kind of comes to start to meddle with things, not malevolently, but in order to help us wake up.
To wake up. Yes.
To help us wake up. And so you have these two young characters at the beginning of the Fantastics. Right. Love, you are love, all this stuff.
Yes.
And by the end, they are broken and battered. And then they can look at each other and say, no, you are love. I had to go through it to figure out what it was.
I got God bumps right now up and down my spine, on my arms, because it's true that, it takes us on this journey of idealism to reality.
Right.
That this idealistic type of love that we vision, that we think we are, we don't really know the true meaning until we've gone through some stuff. We go through some stuff, and when we go through some stuff, we really get to understand what the real true meaning of love really means. Right. I love that in your own spiritual awakening, you've come to understand this connection of the divine that's within you. And if you could just speak a little bit about the divine that lives within you, what do you call it? What do you say it is?
The divine within me, boy. You don't let up, do you, Skip?
Nope,
You
nope.
just keep coming with
That's
it.
that's what the show's all about. It's in the flow. So flow with it, brother. Flow with it.
Yeah. Well, going back to your first question of who are you, questions like that challenge us to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Because if we try to kind of hang on to, okay, what's the best answer? What does my ego want to say? We're going to find ourselves lost, I think. And so I feel like divinity in me over the years has been crying out to be recognized in my daily life. And it's something I'm still working on, of course. But I feel like divinity in me comes out in those small everyday acts that are a whisper in my ear to do one thing and to maybe abstain from doing something else, because you think about that word sacrifice. Isn't such an interesting word, because we think about it in such a way that we think we're denying ourselves something. But as you said so eloquently in the beginning, we are actually making room for something else to come in.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I would say that, the divinity, just like my identity, just like my career path, it's evolving. And, to be completely transparent, getting to speak with you today is such a wonderful, catapult. It's almost, you get into certain professional rooms, you get into certain, even into some rehearsal rooms, and you still feel like you got to keep a cap on how woo-woo you are, And so I feel like you are providing me the opportunity to be brave.
One of the things that I've learned, and we've talked about this, we've had this conversation, and I've even shared with you, when I stopped trying to put a cap on my woo-wooism, woo-woo, and just let it shine, that's when the world began to open up for me. So I was on live events, and I would not say God, because I didn't want people to be triggered. I wouldn't say certain things. And I said, I literally kind of screw that. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to say the word God. And I always follow. If that triggers you, find another word. I'm talking about love, peace, oneness. When I stopped trying to put a bottle on what is innately within me, and there was times on Inside Timer I wouldn't pray, and now I'm praying every Friday morning. We get to do meditation and prayers together, because I didn't want to isolate anyone. But then understand that when I shine my light, I give permission for other people to shine their light and not play small. One of the things I love about you, brother, what you do is you have something called Voices Unchanged. Here I go again. I almost said Unchanged. But Voices Uncaged. I almost said Unchanged. Voices Uncaged. And I believe this is part of your purpose. Just knowing you, this is what you were called to do. Before we talk about Voices Uncaged, Diego, can we please bring up the video that I would love to pray, and then we're going to talk about that.
Hi there, my name is Freddie Philippe. I had the pleasure of working with Chad Bradford back in 2016 in Perry, New York, doing a production of 12th Night with the organization called Shake on the Lake. In conjunction with Voices Uncaged, we got to bring our production of 12th Night out to Groveland Correctional Facilities and do a performance for the inmates. That performance experience is perhaps one of, if not the most transformative performance experience I've had in my life. I feel like something that's not talked about in society, but is a theme that is often frequented in art, is the idea of redemption. And everything about Chad's program plays into that and is almost founded on that, I would say. And not only that, but that the idea of art can be healing to lead you to transformation. So many of the paths that are taken that have people end up in a correctional facility are because they are not healing from traumas that they have experienced, which lead them to make choices that probably they would not normally make. And just because they make those choices, it doesn't mean that they are in line with those choices as a reflection of who they are. Chad is a firm believer in that, and he consistently and continues to work on this idea to this day. And it's an honor to know him. It was an honor to work with Voices Uncaged in some way, and I hope to be working with them again in the future.
Brother, when you see that video, I know how I feel right now. How do you feel? And do you see the blessing that you are providing upon this planet? How do you feel when you see that?
Well, I tell you what, I feel gratitude, especially for Philippe, who's a Broadway actor who I've gotten to work with several times. And he graciously made that video, recorded himself talking about the program. And then gratitude to be able to come in to those facilities, because again, art is the practice of empathy. And I've learned so much about myself and so much about how the world works from being in there with those individuals. Yeah.
Just for our listeners and our viewers, give us a little rundown of what is Voices Uncaged and how does it truly make a difference? Because this is your baby, and I want you to share.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate the opportunity. Voices Uncaged is an organization. We are focused on theater arts and theater education and bringing programs into correctional facilities. So for the last 4 years, we've had a wonderful relationship with Groveland Correctional Facility in upstate New York, Western New York. And so basically we come in, we get to know the participants. We start immediately. I loved you use the word play earlier today. Leela, joy, divine artistic play, right? Yes. And that's something that's been a huge something I'm still learning, but something that in the last 10 years I've really tried to embrace. So we go in and we play improv games. We play warm-up exercises and things like that in order to just establish some rapport and to have some fun. I think one of the things that is incredibly healing in that environment is just having a moment to. It's all what meditation is, right? Paying undistractable attention to what's happening right now.
To the reality, yes.
And so basically that finding exercises where we can be in the flow, where we can be in the moment, because that's what acting is, right? Acting and reacting in the moment. So it's almost like active meditation, some of these exercises that we do. And it allows participants and the folks that are facilitating these workshops to be in the moment. And it's in those moments, things clear, you get divine downloads. And so I'd say that's one of the coolest things that we hear back is that they say, I forgot that I was in prison. I forgot that I was even here. One of the greatest stories that happened early on, I was doing a pilot program in Little Rock, Arkansas, and one fella came in and he was really angry when he came in because, you go to prison, you're there to, of course, from society's view, that's to rehabilitate you, but that's not necessarily the way our justice system is set up. So without going into a diatribe of that, he was angry because something happened, or I don't know, but basically they put on a scarlet letter almost. You have to dress in these different clothes than everyone else to single you out as somebody that they're humiliating. And he was really angry coming in because he was having to wear this orange thing. And but after about, an hour and a half or so of playing, I said, please give me your feedback. What didn't you like? What did you like? And he said, this is the first time that I've laughed in 6 months. And it's because we don't allow ourselves in that environment. And for all of us, what I've learned is we don't allow ourselves, even in our everyday lives, to laugh, to feel real joy. And so that was really inspirational to me, that this work, not necessarily, I think that we always have to, when you're doing this kind of work, one thing we always have to keep in mind is that it's not about us. We're in there to learn something, even more than to teach or anything like that, that we are there for a conversation, because it's all interdependent. You're going to come out and you're going to be my neighbor. You're going to come out and you're going to, teach my son or my daughter, in math class or something, and that we're all one community. And so, I think about that interdependence, that, anytime that we have a situation where we can, uplift someone else, that we're actually doing it for ourselves.
Yes, we are.
We're raising that global vibration.
We're one. Because
Right.
there is only one of us here. There's
Right.
only one of us here, and we're just in different drag. I always say it, we're all God in
Yes.
different drag. And literally, that divine presence that is within us. Brother, I love how you're making a difference. I love the fact that it came out of something you said, well, what can I do? What can I do? And I truly believe that this is the real essence of what our art, creativity, what theater, what music is all about. It's about touching lives and making a difference.
Right.
And that is what you're doing. That is what you're doing. You're making a difference. What I'd love to do is this. I want to go into our yes moment. Before we do that, though, I've been waiting to tell you this. I wanted to tell you at the top of the show, before the top of the show, but I have a new collection that's coming out. It's called the Summer Collection, and 10% of the profits is going to go to Voices Uncaged.
Oh my God!
I really support what you're doing, because I believe that is why we create things, so we can help to promote and bring up the planet. So 10% of our summer collection that has just been launched and is being released over the weekend. We're cleaning up the show and everything, or cleaning up the shop. We're going to add that in the description, but we're going to support Voices Uncaged with the summer collection. I just honor what you are doing, and I just want to support you as much as I can, making a difference. So we're going to do that. So I probably should have waited to do that after the yes moment, because now I'm starting to cry here. You're starting to cry. We're having these moments here because it is truly what we've been called to do. So if you can, this is our yes moment, you expressing spirit, where we get to motivate our listeners and our viewers in this moment. So everyone, Chad Bradford in the yes moment.
Well, you gave me such a wonderful, launching pad for that, because, well, first of all, thank you for that. That's incredibly humbling. And I'm so thankful. The program Voices Uncaged really came about because growing up, my father was incarcerated. And if you look at any research, you can find that that act of having someone incarcerated while you are young, and your whole family, your community, that the effects just ripple out. And so really, this was me coming to terms with that, the genesis of this, and finding a way that where I could turn a legacy of personal pain into something that could bring light externally. And I always start my classes or any rehearsal process when I'm directing with the quote that is, boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And that by embracing courage, by activating our authenticity, by closing our eyes, just jumping into the flow, that we're going to find genius, our own personal genius. And it's interesting, because I think that we all have a unique genius. We all have something in us that we're able to access or bring into the world that is uniquely us, that no one else can do. And I remember going through theater school and having moments where I wanted to quit, where I felt so less than, I felt beat down and traumatized. But it was this message, listening to Wayne Dyer, him talking about don't die with your music still in you, that we all have a unique and beautiful song that we get to play in this incarnation, and that it's our responsibility, duty, and joy to go and do it.
That's right.
And so, going forward, in this yes moment, it's saying yes to that. It's saying yes to your authentic genius, to your authentic heart, and what has been put before you, because it's in that surrender, it's in that letting go, it's in that leaping off that we get to experience things that we never even anticipated. I never thought I'd be sitting here getting to chat with Rev Skip.
So what my follow-up question to you is, when is your podcast coming out, brother? You got some yes moments in you, brother. When is that podcast coming out?
Oh my God. Well, as long as I'm just going to keep following you, I'm going to follow in your footsteps, Skip.
Well, we're definitely going to have you come back. We're definitely going to have you come back when it's time to do something else, and we're going to really follow Voices Uncaged. The other thing too is, did you continue to meet during the Sacred Reset, also known as the pandemic? Did you meet online? Did you do Zoom work? What happened? Did you get a chance to do that?
No, that's such a great question, because we weren't able to go in at all. And so I'm so glad you said that. We just got approval, I think like 2 days ago. We wrote a book. We created basically a do-it-yourself manual to where we could send in reading materials and exercises along with teachers' notes and personal letters back and forth, to where we could still connect with the folks in there. And that's what we're going to be launching really soon. It's our Voices Uncaged guidebook that allow participants to do it themselves, and to feel that connection and to know. And if I can leave folks that are listening with anything, is that just knowing that people are thinking about you, whether you can come in, whether you can do anything, means so much to the folks in there. Just knowing that we haven't forgotten, we're thinking. And so having that kind of correspondence back and forth, I'm really excited about getting started with that.
Powerful stuff, brother. And I'm so glad to be on this journey with you. If I can ever say that was a spiritual mic drop, that was a spiritual mic drop right there. Everyone, I love how Diego puts things up on the feed so I don't forget. All the links are in the program description. So if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching now, click on the link, follow Voices Uncaged. Also, just to know this, that there is a place where you'll be able to donate, and I'm going to upload that into the program notes before it goes out in the podcast. I'm going to get that information from Chad coming up. And I just want to thank you, brother, for the work you're doing.
Oh my God. It's a joy just seeing your face today. This is wonderful.
It's great. And everyone, please remember to, wherever you're listening to this, please subscribe to the podcast. May it be on Spotify or iHeartRadio or on Pandora. Subscribe and tell a friend, give a click, leave a message. That always helps us getting the message of In the Flow with Rev Skip out into the world. So as much as you can, please help us support this ministry. Also, you can support by giving to the New Thought Media Network. Donations for the New Thought Media Network, you go to, and I'm waiting for Diego to give me that information because I have so much to remember here. There we go. It is... I should know this by heart. It's www.ntmedia.org/donate. Donate and help us to continue to move this message of oneness throughout the world. And if you want to support my ministry, Rev Skip, you can go to PayPal or Venmo and look up Skip at skipjennings.com. I always love to say this is my favorite time of the show. Well, actually not, but I always say you can take me home and not cook me breakfast. Go to Skip Jennings. Go to skipjennings.com and you can find out more about my book, my new book, the Little Book for Big Transformation, which is a second edition. Get a copy of that available on, digital, paperback, and Audible. And it's in my voice, and I did the editing and I did everything to it. So it's love. It's from the heart. Also, you can listen to this podcast and Voices of Unity on my website at the loading page. It's right there in a little listening box. My Tuesday podcast, Voices of Unity, goes out Tuesday live on the Unity Online Radio Network. You can actually .org. You can find out more information about that. And I think that's it. The only thing left to do is to say thank you again, Chad.
Thank you so much.
You are one of my favorite people in the world. And I bless you and I thank Spirit for you. That's it, everyone. Remember, next week I am off. I'm going home to New Jersey to be with my mama. It's her 87th birthday, and we are celebrating. I haven't seen my mama in 2 years because of Miss COVID. And, but we're moving past that, and I get to go home. So we're going to have a replay of my very first episode of In the Flow with Rev Skip with Ricky Byers. So you can recheck that out. It's going to go out same time through the New Thought Media Network. You'll be able to and also on my page. So it's going to go out. Watch it. It's going to be really cool to watch the replay of that. It's a really dynamic interview. And that's it for us today. And everyone remember, transformation is a choice, and you can choose today. Until next time, one love, one planet, one people. Peace.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of In the Flow. If you enjoyed this programming, please help us spread this joy. Be sure and give this video a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. New Thought Media Network can be found on Facebook or our YouTube channel. Additional contributions are greatly appreciated at ntmedia.org/donate or find Rev Skip on PayPal and Venmo. Tune in on Fridays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 Mountain, when Rev Skip welcomes a new guest. Until then, faith, love, openness, and willingness keeps us in the flow. New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.